The fluorescent lights of the grocery store buzz overhead like angry insects as Maya Chun stands in the checkout line at 11:30 on a Wednesday night. Her cart contains the basics: generic brand pasta, the cheapest ground beef, a bag of rice that will stretch for weeks, a gallon of milk that expires tomorrow but costs half price. She's already done the math 3 times in her head. $42.63. She has exactly $45 in her checking account until Friday's paycheck from her second job arrives. The woman in front of her unloads a cart overflowing with groceries. Fresh vegetables, premium cuts of meat, imported cheeses, organic everything. Maya tries not to feel envious. She tries not to calculate how many weeks of meals that cart represents. She tries not to think about how her younger brother Leo asked for fresh strawberries yesterday and she'd had to explain, again, why they couldn't afford fruit that wasn't on sale. The cashier begins scanning items with mechanical efficiency. Beep, beep, beep. Each sound marks another dollar added to the total climbing on the screen. Maya watches the numbers rise. 200, 300, 500, 600. The woman doesn't even glance at the display. She's on her phone, scrolling through something that makes her laugh softly. Then the card reader beeps. Declined. The woman's confident expression falters. She tries again. Declined. I'm sorry, ma'am, the cashier says with practiced sympathy. Do you have another form of payment? The woman's face flushes red. That's impossible. There's money in that account. I just transferred. She stops, her hand trembling slightly as she fumbles through her wallet. Let me try this one. Declined. Maya watches the woman's composure crack like ice under pressure. She recognizes that look. She's worn it herself too many times. The horrified realization that the numbers don't add up, that the safety net you thought existed has disappeared, that everyone is watching your humiliation unfold in real time. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Ma'am, if you can't pay, I'll need to void the transaction, the cashier says, already reaching for the intercom to call a manager. The woman's eyes glisten with unshed tears. Please, I just need a minute. My son is waiting for his medication. The prescriptions are in here. Maya's chest tightens. She thinks of Leo, who depends on his insulin, who can't just wait a day or make do with expired medication, who needs what he needs when he needs it, regardless of what the bank account says. Her hand moves before her brain catches up. I'll cover it. The words hang in the air for a heartbeat. The woman turns, surprise and suspicion warring on her features. The cashier looks up from her screen. The few other shoppers in line shift their attention to Maya. I'll pay for her groceries, Maya repeats, her voice steadier than her hands. She's already pulling out her debit card, already ignoring the voice in her head screaming about rent due in 5 days, about the electricity bill waiting in her email, about the promise she made to Leo that they'd go to the movies this weekend. Honey, that's $832, the cashier says slowly, as if Maya might not understand numbers. Are you sure? No. She's not sure. She's the opposite of sure. But she looks at the woman's face, sees the desperate gratitude mixed with shame, sees herself reflected in a stranger's eyes and nods. I'm sure. She swipes her card, the one connected to her savings account, the account that holds every extra dollar she's managed to scrape together over the past 8 months. The account that was supposed to be for Leo's college fund, for emergencies, for the nebulous concept of a better future. The transaction processes. Approved. Maya's knees feel weak. She just spent her rent money. She just spent 3 months of careful saving. She just destroyed every plan she'd made to keep their heads above water. The woman grabs Maya's hand, her grip desperate and warm. Thank you. God, thank you. I don't know what happened with my accounts, but my son, he needs his medication tonight. You just saved, her voice breaks. How can I repay you? You don't need to, Maya says, gently extracting her hand. Just take care of your son. The woman nods, tears finally spilling over. The cashier helps her bag the groceries with unusual care, as if the items have become precious through Maya's sacrifice. As the woman pushes her overflowing cart toward the exit, she looks back one more time, mouthing another thank you that Maya pretends not to see. You're next, honey, the cashier says softly, scanning Maya's meager items with hands that have suddenly become gentle. That was a beautiful thing you just did. Maya doesn't feel beautiful. She feels terrified. She feels like an idiot. She feels like she just threw away everything she's been working toward because she couldn't stand to watch another person's world collapse in the frozen food aisle of a 24-hour grocery store. $42.63, the cashier announces. Maya swipes her debit card again. Declined. Of course. She just emptied her savings account. She fumbles for her other card, the one connected to checking. $45. She has $45 between her family and homelessness, and she just gave away $832. The card approves. Maya bags her groceries in a daze, her hands moving on autopilot. The pasta feels heavier than it should. The milk seems to weigh 1,000 pounds. Everything she owns fits in 3 plastic bags, and she just traded her future for a stranger's tonight. The parking lot is nearly empty at this hour. Maya's car, a 2008 Honda Civic with a broken passenger window covered in duct tape and plastic, sits under a flickering streetlight in the back corner. She parked there deliberately, away from other cars, away from witnesses to her poverty. She loads the groceries into the back seat with mechanical precision. Her phone vibrates in her pocket. A text from Leo. Did you get the insulin? I'm almost out. Guilt crashes over her in waves. Leo's insulin. She'd been planning to pick it up Friday when her paycheck cleared. Now she has no idea how she'll manage it. No idea how she'll explain to her 14-year-old brother that she gave away their rent money to a stranger, that her compulsive need to help people has finally, definitively destroyed them. Excuse me. The voice makes Maya jump. She spins to find a man standing a few feet away, and her first instinct is to reach for her keys, to position them between her fingers like her mother taught her. It's late. The parking lot is empty. She's alone and vulnerable and stupid for not paying attention to her surroundings. But then the security light catches his face, and Maya's breath stutters in her chest. He's tall, easily over 6 feet, with dark hair that curls slightly at his collar and eyes so deep brown they're almost black. He wears a simple black t-shirt and dark jeans, but the way he carries himself suggests expensive tastes hidden beneath casual clothing. His jaw is sharp enough to cut glass, and there's a scar above his left eyebrow that somehow adds to rather than detracts from his devastating attractiveness. But it's not his looks that freeze Maya in place. It's the way he moves, controlled, deliberate, dangerous. It's the recognition in his eyes, like he knows exactly who she is and what she just did. It's the fact that he followed her to her car in an empty parking lot at midnight, and she never heard him approach. I saw what you did in there, he says. His voice is low, rough around the edges, the kind of voice that could order someone's death or seduce them to ruin with equal ease. That was either incredibly kind or incredibly stupid. Maya's hand tightens on her keys. Are you following me? Yes. He doesn't even pretend otherwise. You paid $800 for a stranger's groceries. In this neighborhood, at this time of night, wearing clothes that suggest you can't afford your own. I wanted to understand why. That's none of your business, Maya says, proud that her voice doesn't shake. She turns back to her car, ready to get in, and lock the doors and drive away from this beautiful, dangerous man who's looking at her like she's a puzzle he's determined to solve. You're right, he agrees. But I'm going to make it my business anyway. He pulls something from his pocket, and Maya's muscles tense, ready to run or fight or scream. But it's not a weapon. It's a wallet, an expensive leather wallet that probably costs more than her car. He extracts a stack of bills, hundreds, she realizes with shock, and holds them out to her. $832. That's what you spent. Take it. Maya stares at the money like it's a snake. I don't want your money. Yes, you do. His tone is matter of fact. You need it. I saw your face when that card declined. I saw you calculate whether you could afford your own groceries after emptying your account. Take the money, piccola. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Piccola, little one. The Italian endearment sounds dangerous in his mouth, like honey laced with poison. I didn't do it for a reward, Maya says, even as her fingers itch to grab the cash, even as she mentally calculates how that money would solve every immediate problem crushing her. I did it because it was the right thing to do. I know. Something flickers in his dark eyes. Respect, maybe, or curiosity. That's exactly why you're taking this money. Because people who do the right thing when it costs them everything deserve to be protected from their own goodness. Maya shakes her head, taking a step back. I don't even know you. I can't take money from a stranger. His smile is slow and dangerous. My name is Dante Vitali. Now we're not strangers. Vitali. The name ricochets through Maya's brain like a bullet. She may not follow organized crime news obsessively, but everyone in the city knows that name. The Vitali family controls half the waterfront. They own restaurants and construction companies and shipping enterprises that are definitely not just shipping enterprises. They're the kind of people you don't want to owe favors to, the kind of people who collect debts in ways that don't involve payment plans. Oh God, Maya whispers, backing toward her car. You're one of them. One of them. Dante's eyebrow arches. That's delightfully vague. But yes, if you're thinking what I think you're thinking, then yes. I'm one of them. I can't take money from the Mafia. First, we prefer the term family business, Dante says with amusement that doesn't reach his eyes. Second, you already did something infinitely more dangerous than taking my money. You drew my attention. You made me curious. You made me want to understand what kind of woman gives away her rent money to a stranger without hesitation. Maya's hand finally finds her car door handle. I need to go. Yes, you do, Dante agrees. But he doesn't move. He stands there, holding out the money, his expression patient and implacable. But first, you're taking this. Consider it a gift, not a debt. I don't make a habit of letting good people destroy themselves for acts of kindness. And if I refuse, his smile turns sharp, then I'll have my people deliver it to your apartment, along with groceries, and probably flowers, because my mother raised me to be courteous. And then you'll really be worried about what I want from you. He knows where she lives. Of course he knows where she lives. Men like Dante Vitali probably know everything about everyone within a 5-mile radius of their territory. Maya's mind races through her options. She can refuse, and likely end up with this dangerous man's attention focused more intensely on her life. She can accept and wonder forever what hidden strings are attached. She can run, but something tells her Dante Vitali isn't the kind of man who lets interesting things slip away. Why do you care? She asks instead. There are hundreds of people in this city who need help. Why me? Dante is quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes studying her face with unnerving intensity. When he speaks, his voice carries an honesty that feels more dangerous than any threat. Because watching you give away your last dollar reminded me that good people still exist, he says quietly. Because in my world, everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle. Everyone lies. But you impoverished yourself to help a stranger's son get his medication. You didn't even hesitate. You didn't ask for gratitude or recognition or repayment. You just did what you thought was right, consequences be damned. He steps closer, and Maya should back away, should get in her car, should do anything except stand there breathing in his cologne, something expensive and dark and completely overwhelming. People like you don't last long in the city, Dante continues. The world chews up kindness and spits out cynicism. I'd like to prevent that from happening to you. Call it a weakness of mine. You have weaknesses. The question escapes before Maya can stop it. His smile is genuine this time, transforming his harsh features into something almost beautiful. More than I'd like to admit. Take the money, Maya-chun. Let me have this small victory against the universe's tendency to punish good people. He knows her name. She never told him her name. How do you? I make it my business to know things, Dante interrupts. Especially about people who interest me. Maya-chun, 26 years old, guardian to your younger brother Leo who has type 1 diabetes. You work 2 jobs, waitressing at Russo's diner during the day and cleaning offices downtown at night. You're 3 months behind on rent despite working 80-hour weeks. Your landlord filed eviction paperwork yesterday. You have a degree in social work that you can't use because the pay doesn't cover Leo's medical expenses. Each fact lands like a blow. Maya feels exposed, dissected, completely vulnerable under the stranger's knowing gaze. Stop, she whispers. Please stop. Dante's expression softens fractionally. I'm not trying to frighten you, Piccola. I'm trying to show you that I understand your situation. That this money isn't charity, it's recognition. You deserve better than this city has given you. Maya's eyes burn with unshed tears. She's so tired of fighting, of struggling, of making impossible choices between Leo's medication and their electricity bill. So tired of being strong when all she wants is one person to tell her it's okay to ask for help. The money has no strings, Dante says, still holding out the cash. I'm not buying your loyalty, or your time, or anything else your frightened brain is currently imagining. I'm simply restoring what you lost through an act of kindness. That's all. Maya looks at the money. $832 that would solve every immediate crisis. That would let her breathe for just a moment before the next disaster strikes. Why should I believe you? She asks. Because if I wanted something from you, I'd simply take it. Dante replies with brutal honesty. I don't need elaborate schemes or false generosity. I have power, Maya. Enough power that I can afford genuine kindness when I choose to extend it. The words should terrify her. They probably would terrify her if she wasn't so exhausted, so desperate, so worn down by life's relentless grind. Okay, she hears herself say. Okay. She reaches out and takes the money. The bills feel crisp and real and completely surreal in her trembling hands. Thank you, Maya whispers, hating how small her voice sounds. You're welcome. Dante steps back, giving her space to breathe. Go home, Maya-chun. Take care of your brother. Buy his insulin. Pay your rent. And maybe, just maybe, spend $10 on yourself. Get a coffee that isn't gas station swill. You've earned it. He turns to walk away, and Maya should let him. Should get in her car and drive away and forget this ever happened. Should pretend this dangerous, beautiful man didn't just save her from eviction with casual ease. Dante, she calls before she can stop herself. He pauses, looking back over his shoulder. The woman in the grocery store, was that set up? Did you arrange that whole thing just to… No. His voice is firm. I was there picking up a prescription for my mother. Watching you was pure chance. Pure chance that led to the most interesting thing that's happened to me in months. Then he's gone, disappearing into the shadows between parked cars with the same unsettling silence he'd used to approach. Maya stands alone in the flickering security light, clutching $832 and wondering if she just made a deal with the devil or found an unlikely guardian angel. She gets in her car with shaking hands. The drive home takes 20 minutes through empty streets, but her mind races the entire time. Dante Vitale, the Mafia, $800 that came from nowhere and solved everything. No strings, he said. But men like Dante Vitale don't do anything without expecting something in return. That's not how power works. That's not how the world works. By the time Maya parks in front of her apartment building, a rundown complex with peeling paint and security lights that haven't worked in 6 months, she's almost convinced herself that tonight was a hallucination. That she fell asleep standing in line at the grocery store and dreamed the entire encounter. Then she looks at the money still clutched in her hand, and reality crashes back with crushing weight. Her apartment is dark when she enters. Leo is asleep on the couch, his laptop open on his chest, headphones still in his ears. Maya sets down her groceries with careful quiet and covers her brother with a worn blanket they've been sharing since their mother died 3 years ago. He looks so young when he sleeps, so vulnerable, so dependent on her ability to keep them afloat in a city that's determined to drown them both. Maya counts the money at her small kitchen table. $832 in neat $100 bills plus 32 in smaller denominations. Exactly what she spent. Nothing more, nothing less. She should feel relieved. She should feel grateful. Instead, she feels marked, like Dante Vitale drew a line around her life in permanent ink and declared her under his protection without asking if she wanted it. Her phone vibrates. An unknown number. Maya stares at it for 3 rings before answering. Hello. Did you make it home safely? Dante's voice is quieter now, almost gentle. I worried you might do something reckless like refuse to use the money and sleep in your car out of stubborn pride. How did you get my number? The same way I got your address and employment history. A pause. I'm very good at finding information, Maya. It's both a blessing and a curse. She should hang up, should block the number, and pretend tonight never happened. Should do anything except continue this conversation with a man who casually admits to invading her privacy. I'm home, she says instead. Leo is safe. I'll buy his insulin tomorrow. Good. Genuine satisfaction colors his tone. And the rent? I'll pay it Friday. Pay it tomorrow, Dante suggests. Don't give your landlord any more time to file additional paperwork. Men like him enjoy having power over people who can't fight back. You know my landlord? I know everyone who matters in this city, Piccola. Your landlord is a bottom feeder who exploits people in difficult situations. He's been on my attention list for other reasons. Your situation simply gave me additional motivation to look more closely at his practices. Maya doesn't know what to do with that information. Doesn't know if she should be terrified or relieved that Dante Vitali is looking closely at the man who controls her housing. Why are you still talking to me? She asks. You gave me the money. Transaction complete. You can go back to your life of organized crime and expensive cologne. His laugh is warm and genuine. I haven't been able to make someone laugh in months. Everyone in my world is either too frightened or too ambitious to be authentic. But you told me my cologne is expensive like it's an accusation. Isn't it? Probably, Dante admits. My sister buys it, says it makes me smell less like violence and more like sophistication. Maya shouldn't smile, shouldn't find this conversation charming, shouldn't feel a flutter in her chest at the sound of his laughter. Dante Vitali is dangerous. Dante Vitali is the Mafia. Dante Vitali is everything she should run from. I need to go, she says, trying to sound firm. Thank you for the money. I hope our paths don't cross again. They will, Dante says with absolute certainty. I've decided you're under my protection now. That means ensuring you're safe, stable, and not giving away your rent money to strangers in grocery stores. I don't need protection. Everyone needs protection, Maya. The question is whether they're brave enough or desperate enough to accept it. You're both, which makes you fascinating. I'm not fascinating, Maya protests. I'm just trying to survive. You're surviving with grace and kindness and tact, Dante corrects. That's the most fascinating thing in my world. Sleep well, Piccola. I'll be in touch. He hangs up before Maya can argue. She sits in her dark kitchen, staring at her phone, trying to understand what just happened to her carefully controlled life. The money sits on the table, concrete proof that tonight was real. That Dante Vitali exists. That she's somehow caught the attention of one of the most dangerous men in the city by doing the one thing she does best, helping others at the expense of herself. Maya thinks about tomorrow, about paying the rent that will keep them housed, about buying Leo's insulin that will keep him alive, about the breathing room this money provides, the temporary reprieve from the constant anxiety of impending disaster. She thinks about Dante's dark eyes and dangerous smile, about the way he said her name like it meant something, about his promise that their paths would cross again. And despite every instinct screaming at her to run, Maya feels a flutter of anticipation she can't quite suppress. The Mafia boss followed her to the parking lot and handed her a fortune. He learned her name and invaded her privacy and promised protection she didn't ask for. Any rational person would be terrified. Maya's terrified, but she's also curious. And in her experience, curiosity is far more dangerous than fear. The next morning arrives with reluctant sunlight filtering through Maya's thin curtains. She wakes on the couch where she'd eventually collapsed around 3 a.m, her neck stiff from the awkward angle, the money still on the kitchen table where she'd left it. For a moment, she thinks it was all a dream. An exhaustion-induced hallucination brought on by too many double shifts and not enough sleep. Then Leo shuffles out of the bedroom, rubbing his eyes, and spots the cash. Where did that come from? Maya's mind scrambles for an explanation. She can't tell her 14-year-old brother that she gave away their rent money to a stranger and was reimbursed by a Mafia boss in a parking lot. She can't explain that she's now apparently under the protection of Dante Vitali without terrifying Leo into thinking they're in danger. Overtime pay, she lies, hating how easily the falsehood rolls off her tongue. They finally processed my request from last month. Leo's face brightens. Does that mean we can get my insulin today? I'm down to my last 2 doses. Guilt crashes over Maya in waves. She'd been so focused on the rent, so consumed by meeting their immediate crisis, that she pushed Leo's medication to Friday in her mental triage. What kind of guardian puts utilities before life-saving medicine? Yes, she says firmly. We're getting your insulin this morning. And paying the rent. And maybe, she thinks of Dante's words, spend $10 on yourself. Maybe getting breakfast somewhere nice. Leo's skepticism is palpable. Breakfast somewhere nice means IHOP if they're lucky. But he doesn't argue. He's learned not to question the rare moments when Maya's stress level drops below critical. They take the bus to the pharmacy. Maya's car is making a concerning noise that she can't afford to investigate, and she pays for Leo's insulin with cash. $280, that would have been impossible yesterday. The pharmacist doesn't even blink at the $100 bills. Money is money, regardless of where it comes from. Next stop is the landlord's office. Gerald Moss operates out of a strip mall between a bail bondsman and a payday loan place, which tells you everything you need to know about his ethics. He's in his 50s with the kind of smile that never reaches his eyes and hands that linger too long when accepting rent checks. Maya hands him $900, $800 for this month's rent, and $100 toward last month's balance. She pays in cash, gets a receipt, and ignores the way Gerald's gaze crawls over her body like insects. Came into some money, did you? Gerald asks, his tone suggesting something unsavory. Got paid, Maya replies shortly. I'll have the rest of the back rent by next month. Gerald's smile sharpens. See that you do. I'd hate to have to file more paperwork, though I could be persuaded to extend some leniency if you wanted to work out an arrangement. The implication is crystal clear. Maya's stomach turns. The rent will be paid. On time. In full. She leaves before Gerald can make his offer more explicit, Leo trailing behind her with his medication clutched in a paper bag. Neither of them mentions the uncomfortable encounter. They've learned to pretend certain ugliness doesn't exist. At the diner where Maya works, her manager Nina takes one look at her face and pours her coffee without being asked. Nina is in her 50s, has 3 kids of her own, and possesses the uncanny ability to read exhaustion in other people's expressions. Rough night? Nina asks. Strange night, Maya corrects. But we're okay now. Leo's got his medication. Rent is paid. We're surviving. Surviving isn't the same as living, honey, Nina observes. When's the last time you did something just for you? Maya can't remember. Everything she does is for Leo, for their survival, for keeping them both above water in a world determined to drown them. Self-indulgence is a luxury she can't afford. Soon, she lies. Maybe I'll get my hair done or something. Nina doesn't look convinced, but she lets it drop. The morning rush begins. Truckers wanting coffee and eggs, office workers grabbing breakfast before their commutes. The usual parade of humanity that fills Maya's days with endless orders and minimal tips. She's wiping down table 6 when the bell above the door chimes. Maya glances up reflexively, ready to offer her customer service smile, and her breath catches in her throat. Dante Vitale stands in the doorway of Russo's diner looking completely out of place and entirely too comfortable. He wears a charcoal suit today, perfectly tailored, the kind that probably costs more than Maya makes in 6 months. His dark hair is styled with casual precision, and those dangerous eyes scan the room with predatory awareness before landing on her. Their gazes lock. Dante's lips curve into a slow smile that makes Maya's pulse stutter. He shouldn't be here. This is her space, her work, her carefully maintained separation between her struggling life and the dangerous encounter from last night. But Dante Vitale doesn't seem to care about boundaries. He walks toward her with confident purpose, and every head in the diner turns to track his movement. You can always spot power. It announces itself in the way. Someone moves through space, demanding attention without asking for it. Maya. Dante says her name like a greeting and a caress at once. I hope I'm not interrupting. Behind the counter, Nina's eyes have gone wide. She recognizes him. Of course she recognizes him. Everyone in this neighborhood knows the Vitale family by sight. I'm working, Maya says, acutely aware of the audience watching this interaction. Can I help you? Coffee, Dante replies, settling into a booth in her section with easy grace. And whatever you recommend for breakfast. I trust your judgment. It's a test, Maya realizes. Or maybe it's a statement. Dante Vitale is making his protection of her public, claiming her as someone under his interest, announcing to anyone paying attention that Maya Chen now has a very dangerous ally. She should tell him to leave. Should make it clear that she doesn't want or need his presence in her life. Should protect the fragile normalcy she's worked so hard to maintain. Instead, She pulls out her order pad and pen. The special is eggs, bacon, hash browns, and toast. Comes with unlimited coffee refills. Perfect, Dante says, those dark eyes never leaving her face. And Maya, we need to talk. Not here, obviously, but soon. There's something you should know about the woman whose groceries you paid for last night. Maya's heart stutters. What about her? Later, Dante promises, when we have privacy. But trust me when I say your act of kindness sets something in motion that's bigger than you realize. He hands her a business card, expensive cardstock with embossed lettering that reads simply, Dante Vitale, with a phone number below. Call me when your shift ends, he says. I'll explain everything. Then he settles back in the booth, apparently content to spend his morning in a rundown diner, drinking mediocre coffee and disrupting Maya's entire, carefully constructed world with his presence. Nina appears at Maya's elbow the moment she steps behind the counter. That's Dante Vitale, she hisses. What is Dante Vitale doing in my diner asking for you by name? It's complicated, Maya mutters, pouring coffee with hands that are steadier than she feels. Complicated how? Maya, those people don't just show up at diners. They don't just talk to girls like us. What did you do? I pay for someone's groceries, Maya says, the truth feeling absurd even as she says it. And apparently that caught his attention. Nina grabs her arm, her expression serious. Listen to me, very carefully. Men like Dante Vitale don't do anything without reason. If he's here, if he's talking to you, if he's making it known that you're under his protection, because that's what this is, honey, then you need to be very careful. The Vitale family isn't some movie fantasy. They're real. They're dangerous. And they collect debts in ways that don't show up on balance sheets. He said the money had no strings. Maya protests weakly. And you believed him? Nina's laugh is sharp. Oh, honey, the most expensive things in life are the ones that seem free. Maya delivers Dante's breakfast with professional efficiency, trying to ignore the way he watches her move through the diner. Trying not to notice how every other customer gives him a wide berth, how conversations drop to whispers when he's near, how even the truckers, men who fear nothing, keep their distance. Dante eats slowly, savoring each bite like he has all the time in the world. When Maya refills his coffee for the third time, he catches her wrist gently. You're frightened, he observes. I'm cautious, Maya corrects, pulling her wrist free with gentle firmness. There's a difference. Smart girl. Dante releases her without resistance. Caution keeps you alive. Fear gets you killed. Remember that. He leaves $100 bill on the table for a $15 breakfast and walks out before Maya can protest the excessive tip. The diner erupts in whispered speculation the moment the door closes behind him. Nina corners Maya during her break. I asked around, she says quietly, pulling Maya into the storage room for privacy. Dante Vitale doesn't just run the family businesses. He is a family business. His father died 2 years ago, left him everything. He's got connections in City Hall, the police department, half the judges in the county. And he's got a reputation for being absolutely ruthless with his enemies. What kind of reputation? Maya asks, though she's not sure she wants to know. The kind where people who cross him end up disappearing, Nina replies bluntly. The kind where entire operations get dismantled overnight if they compete with his interests. The kind where everyone knows better than to even look at something he's claimed as his. Maya's stomach turns. He hasn't claimed me. Hasn't he? Nina raises an eyebrow. He showed up at your work, made his interest public, left a tip that's more than you make in 2 days. Honey, he just put a property of Dante Vitale sign over your head. Anyone with eyes can see it. The rest of Maya's shift passes in a blur of anxiety and conflicting emotions. She should be terrified. She's terrified, but underneath the fear is something else. Curiosity, maybe, or the dangerous appeal of being noticed by someone powerful. Someone who could make her problems disappear with a phone call. No. Maya catches that thought and crushes it. That's how people get trapped. That's how you trade one kind of imprisonment for another. She spent years maintaining her independence, her agency, her right to make her own choices. She can't throw that away because a handsome mafia boss decided she was interesting. But as she counts her tips at the end of her shift, including Dante's $100 bill that she should refuse but desperately needs. Maya can't stop thinking about his warning. There's something you should know about the woman whose groceries you paid for last night. What could that mean? Was the woman in danger? Was Maya in danger by association? Did that act of kindness in the grocery store trigger some chain of events she couldn't begin to understand? Maya pulls out Dante's business card, staring at the embossed numbers. She should throw it away. Should go home to Leo and pretend last night never happened. Should return to her life of quiet desperation and leave the dangerous world of the Vitali family far behind. Her finger hovers over the call button. 1 ring. 2. On the 3rd, Dante answers, his voice warm with satisfaction. I was wondering how long your curiosity would battle with your caution. You said I needed to know something, Maya says, skipping pleasantries. About the woman from the store. Not over the phone, Dante replies. I'm sending a car for you. It's already outside your diner. Maya looks through the window and spots a black SUV with tinted windows idling at the curb. Her pulse kicks into overdrive. You were that certain I'd call. I was hopeful, Dante corrects. There's a difference. The driver's name is Marco. He'll bring you to my office. We'll talk there. And if I refuse, then Marco will wait until you change your mind, Dante says simply. I'm a patient man when I need to be. But Maya, you're going to want to hear this. Trust me. He hangs up before she can argue. Maya stands frozen, caught between self-preservation and the desperate need to understand what she stumbled into. Nina appears at her side. That's a Vitali car, she observes. You getting in? I don't know, Maya admits. This feels like crossing a line I can't uncross. Honey, you crossed that line the moment you caught Dante Vitali's attention, Nina says, not unkindly. Now you're just deciding whether you face whatever comes next on your terms or his. I know which one I'd choose. Maya thinks of Leo waiting at home, of the precarious balance of their lives that could tip into disaster with one wrong move, of the money in her pocket that came from Dante's hand and solved problems she couldn't solve alone. She walks outside. The SUV's rear door opens before she reaches it. A man in a dark suit, Marco she presumes, nods respectfully. Miss Chen, Mr. Vitali is waiting. The interior of the SUV is immaculate. Leather seats, tinted windows that make the outside world look distant and unreal, a privacy screen separating her from the driver. Maya has never felt more out of her depth. The drive takes 20 minutes through parts of the city Maya recognizes and parts she doesn't. They end up in the financial district, pulling into the underground parking garage of a building that gleams with new money and old power. Marco escorts her to a private elevator that requires a keycard to operate. They rise to the 20th floor in silence, and Maya's ears pop from the altitude change. The elevator opens directly into an office that screams wealth and taste. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the city, offering a view that must cost more per month than Maya makes in a year. The furniture is modern and expensive, all clean lines and dark wood. Artwork that might be originals hangs on the walls, and behind a massive desk sits Dante Vitali, looking every inch the powerful man he is. Maya, he says, standing as she enters. Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? She asks, more sharply than intended. Dante's expression softens. Always. You always have a choice, Piccola. I may not like your choices, but I'll respect them. Remember that. He gestures to a chair across from his desk. Maya sits, acutely aware of how out of place she looks in this environment. Her waitress uniform feels cheap and shabby against the opulence surrounding her. The woman from the grocery store. Dante begins without preamble. Her name is Catherine Russo. She's been married to Anthony Russo for 18 years. And Anthony Russo is currently being investigated by the FBI for racketeering and money laundering through his restaurant chain. Maya's breath catches. The Russos, as in the family that owns half the Italian restaurants in the city, including the diner where you work, Dante confirms. Last night, the FBI froze all of the Russo family's accounts as part of their investigation. Catherine had no idea it was coming. No access to money, no way to pay for anything, no warning that her entire life was about to collapse. The pieces clicked together in Maya's mind with horrible clarity. That's why her card declined. That's why her card declined, Dante agrees. And that's why your act of kindness didn't just help a stranger. It helped the wife of a man who's about to become very desperate. Anthony Russo is many things, but patient isn't one of them. When men like him feel cornered, they become dangerous. What does that have to do with me? Maya asks, though dread is already pooling in her stomach. Dante's expression turns grim. Catherine told her husband what happened. About the kind stranger who paid for their son's medication when they had nothing. About a young woman who gave away everything to help them. Anthony Russo is the kind of man who collects debts, Maya. Even debts of gratitude. Especially debts of gratitude. You're saying he's going to come looking for me. I'm saying he already did. Dante pulls up security footage on his computer and turns the screen toward her. This was taken outside your apartment building at 6 this morning. Maya watches with growing horror as 3 men in suits stake out her building. One takes photos. Another appears to be asking neighbors questions. The third just watches, his stance suggesting patience and purpose. Russo's men, Dante confirms. They're building a profile on you. Learning your routines, your vulnerabilities, your leverage points. Leo, Maya whispers, panic clawing up her throat. They're going to find out about Leo. They already know, Dante says gently. That's why I'm telling you this. That's why I'm offering you protection that isn't optional anymore. Anthony Russo is going to approach you, Maya. Probably soon. And he's going to ask you for a favor. Something that seems small and harmless. Something you'll feel obligated to do because you helped his wife. What kind of favor? Dante's jaw tightens. The FBI is building their case. They need witnesses, evidence, insider testimony. Russo will want you to be his eyes and ears in places he can't go himself. He'll want you to befriend people, gather information, maybe even testify if it comes to that. And he'll use Leo as leverage to make sure you cooperate. Maya feels like she's drowning. I just wanted to help someone. I just wanted to do the right thing. I know, Dante says, and his voice carries genuine sympathy. That's why I'm going to fix this. But Maya, you need to understand what that means. You need to understand what accepting my protection really entails. Tell me, Maya says, because what choice does she have? Anthony Russo and the FBI on one side, Dante Vitale on the other, and her and Leo caught in the middle. Dante stands, moving around the desk to perch on its edge, bringing him closer to her level. My family and the Russo family have been rivals for 2 generations. We compete for territory, for influence, for control of the city's infrastructure. If I protect you, if I make it known that you're under the Vitale name, Russo can't touch you. He can't threaten you. He can't use you as a pawn in his legal battles. And what do you get out of it? Maya asks, because men like Dante don't give something for nothing. His smile is sharp. Leverage. Information. The satisfaction of watching Anthony Russo realize he can't use a good person's kindness as a weapon. But mostly, his expression softens. I get to ensure that someone who gave away their last dollar to help a stranger doesn't get punished for their compassion. Call it a weakness, but I've found I enjoy protecting good people. Protection requires what? That I work for you. That I owe you. Protection requires that you trust me, Dante corrects. That you let me handle Russo when he inevitably approaches you. That you don't try to handle this alone out of stubborn independence. Maya thinks of Leo, of their fragile life that could shatter with one wrong move, of the men watching their apartment, building a file on her vulnerabilities, of Anthony Russo, who collects debts and doesn't care who gets hurt in the process. How do I know I can trust you? She asks quietly. Dante reaches out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and cups her face with surprising gentleness. You don't, but you trusted a stranger in a grocery store with your rent money. You trusted that kindness mattered more than consequences. Trust me with the same faith, Maya. Let me prove that not everyone in this city is looking to exploit you. His thumb brushes across her cheek, and Maya realizes she's crying. When did she start crying? I'm scared, she admits, the words barely a whisper. I know, Dante says softly, but you're not alone anymore. You have me, and I promise you, Piccola, no one touches what's mine. The possessive declaration should frighten her, should send her running for the door and never looking back. Instead, Maya feels something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Safety. Security. The bone-deep relief of someone else being strong when she's been strong for so long she's forgotten how to be anything else. Okay, she hears herself say. Okay, I'll trust you. Dante's smile is triumphant and tender at once. Good girl. Now, let's discuss how we're going to handle this situation. And Maya, from now on, you don't go anywhere alone. Marco will be your driver. Luca will watch your apartment. And you'll have my number on speed dial for when things get complicated. When, not if. Maya asks. With the Russos, it's always when. Dante replies grimly. But don't worry, Piccola. They're about to learn that threatening what belongs to me is the last mistake they'll ever make. As night falls over the city, Maya stands at Dante's office window, watching lights blink on across the skyline. Below, ordinary people live ordinary lives, completely unaware of the dangerous world that exists in the shadows. A world she's now part of, whether she wanted it or not. Behind her, Dante makes quiet phone calls, mobilizing his forces, building walls of protection around Maya and Leo that no one can breach. His voice is calm, commanding, absolutely certain. Maya thinks about the woman in the grocery store. About $832 that bought medicine and groceries and apparently triggered a war. About kindness as currency in a world that trades in violence and power. She paid a stranger's bill with her rent money. The Mafia boss followed her to the parking lot. And now Maya-chan is learning that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world is being noticed by someone powerful enough to change everything. The game has begun, and Maya has no idea if she's a player or a pawn. But as Dante finishes his calls and returns to her side, his presence solid and reassuring at her back, Maya makes a decision. If she's going to be part of this dangerous world, she's going to face it head-on. No more being a victim of circumstance. No more letting others dictate her fate. Dante Vitali offered her protection. Fine. She'll take it, but on her terms. With her eyes open. And with the full understanding that in this city, nothing is ever truly free. Ready to go home? Dante asks, his hand finding the small of her back in a gesture that's becoming dangerously familiar. No, Maya admits. But I don't think that matters anymore. His laugh is low and warm. You're going to be fine, Piccola. Better than fine. I'll make sure of it. As Marco drives Maya back to her apartment, with 2 additional security vehicles following at a discreet distance, she watches the city blur past her window. Somewhere out there, Anthony Russo is planning his approach. Somewhere out there, the FBI is building their case. Somewhere out there, the normal world keeps spinning while Maya falls deeper into shadows she never wanted to touch. Her phone vibrates. A text from an unknown number. Sleep well, Maya-chan. Tomorrow everything changes. It's not signed, but Maya knows it's from Dante. His way of reminding her she's not alone. His way of promising protection while simultaneously announcing his claim. Tomorrow everything changes. Maya stares at those words until they blur. Then she deletes the message and goes inside to her brother, to her small apartment, to the last night of her old life before the Mafia boss's protection transforms everything she thought she knew about survival. The next morning, Maya wakes to find Marco parked outside her apartment building in the black SUV. He's drinking coffee from a paper cup and reading a newspaper like this is completely normal. Like standing guard over a waitress and her diabetic brother is just another Tuesday. Leo spots him immediately. Who's that? Maya's mind scrambles for a plausible explanation. She can't tell her brother the truth, that they're now under Mafia protection because she helped the wrong person at a grocery store. She can't explain that powerful men are watching their building, that the FBI might come knocking, that their lives have become impossibly complicated overnight. Security, she says finally. The building hired security after those break-ins last month. It's not entirely a lie. There were break-ins, just not in their building. Leo accepts this with typical teenage disinterest and returns to his cereal. Maya watches him eat, his insulin pump visible beneath his t-shirt, and feels the weight of every decision she's ever made pressing down on her shoulders. Her phone buzzes. A text from Dante. Marco will drive you both today. Leo to school, you to work. Don't argue. Maya types back. I have a car. Your car makes a concerning noise, and your brake pads are worn to nothing. Marco is safer. Let me do this, Piccola. He knows about her car. Of course he knows about her car. Dante probably knows more about her life than she does at this point. Another text. There's a package on your doorstep. For Leo. Maya opens the door to find a discreet brown box. Inside is a new insulin pump. Top of the line, the kind their insurance would never cover, along with 3 months' worth of supplies and a note in precise handwriting. No one should have to worry about staying alive. D. The gift is thoughtful and invasive in equal measure. Maya should return it, should maintain boundaries, should resist the way Dante is slowly, systematically removing every obstacle from their lives. Instead, she brings the box inside and watches Leo's face light up when he sees the new equipment. She watches her brother's joy and hates herself for being grateful to a man who deals in violence and control. Where did this come from? Leo asks, turning the pump over in his hands with reverence. The building hired really good security. Maya lies again, each falsehood adding weight to the debt she's accumulating with Dante Vitali. Marco drives them in comfortable silence. The SUV is warm and clean, and the ride is smooth a way Maya's battered Civic has never achieved. Leo stares out the window, oblivious to the second vehicle following at a discreet distance, providing additional security he doesn't know he needs. At Leo's school, Marco actually gets out and opens the door. Have a good day, kid, he says, his voice surprisingly gentle. Thanks for the ride, Leo replies, shouldering his backpack. He waves at Maya through the tinted window before disappearing into the crowd of teenagers. He doesn't know, Marco observes once they're alone. It's not a question. No, Maya confirms. And I'd like to keep it that way for as long as possible. Marco nods, his expression understanding. The boss is good at keeping people safe without them knowing they need protecting. Your brother will be fine. At the diner, Nina takes one look at the SUV idling outside and pulls Maya into the back room. It's getting serious. It's complicated, Maya corrects. Complicated is dating someone your parents don't like. This, Nina gestures toward the window where Marco is visible, standing guard. This is something else entirely. Maya, these people don't just assign drivers. They don't just give expensive medical equipment. They do that when you're important to them. When you're under their protection. When you're theirs. I'm not his, Maya protests, but the words sound hollow even to her own ears. Then what are you? Maya doesn't have an answer. What is she to Dante Vitali? A project. A responsibility. An interesting puzzle he's decided to solve. The woman who inadvertently reminded him that kindness exists. The morning shift passes in a blur of coffee refills and breakfast orders. Maya's mind keeps wandering to Dante, to his office overlooking the city, to the way he touched her face with surprising gentleness, to his promise that no one touches what's his. She's wiping down tables when the bell above the door chimes. Maya looks up expecting another customer and freezes. Anthony Russo stands in the entrance, his expensive suit and practiced smile not quite masking the desperation in his eyes. He looks like a man fighting to maintain control while his world crumbles around him. Behind the counter, Nina's hand moves toward the phone. But Russo holds up his hands in a peaceful gesture. I'm not here for trouble, he says, his voice carrying to every corner of the suddenly silent diner. I just want to talk to the young woman who helped my wife. Every instinct screams at Maya to run. To call Marco. To get as far away from Anthony Russo as possible. But her feet stay rooted to the floor, and her voice sounds steadier than she feels when she asks, What do you want? Russo approaches slowly, carefully, like she's a wild animal he's trying not to spook. I want to thank you. Catherine told me what you did. How you paid for our groceries when we had nothing. How you asked for nothing in return. That kind of kindness is rare, Miss Chun. Especially in this city. He knows her name. They all know her name. It was nothing, Maya says quietly. It was everything, Russo corrects, his expression intense. My son needed his medication. You gave us that without hesitation. I'm a man who pays his debts, Miss Chun. I'm a man who remembers favors. This is it, Maya realizes. This is the moment Dante warned her about. The moment when gratitude becomes leverage. I don't want anything from you, Maya says firmly. I helped because it was the right thing to do. That's all. Russo's smile doesn't falter, but something cold enters his eyes. Everyone wants something, Miss Chun. Everyone needs something. You work 2 jobs to support your brother. You're 3 months behind on rent. 2 months, Maya interrupts. I paid last month. Did you? Russo's eyebrow arches. With money that came from where exactly? Your tips. Your paychecks that barely cover utilities. Or maybe from someone else. Someone with very deep pockets and very specific interests. The threat is subtle but unmistakable. Russo knows about Dante's involvement, knows about the money, knows that Maya is no longer just a kind stranger but a potential pawn in a much larger game. I need to get back to work, Maya says, moving to step around him. Russo's hand shoots out, not grabbing her but blocking her path. I have a simple request, one that requires only your ears and your memory. Nothing illegal, nothing dangerous, just information about the people you serve, the conversations you overhear. This diner is frequented by many interesting individuals. I simply need to know what they're saying. No. The word is automatic, absolute. Russo's expression hardens. Miss Chen, you don't understand the situation. She understands perfectly. Dante's voice cuts through the tension like a blade. Maya spins to find him standing in the doorway, his presence transforming the diner's atmosphere from uncomfortable to dangerous in an instant. He's dressed casually today, jeans and a black sweater that emphasizes his broad shoulders, but there's nothing casual about the cold fury in his eyes. Russo's face goes pale. Vitali, I didn't realize you had business here. I have business wherever Miss Chen happens to be, Dante replies, moving into the diner with predatory grace. And you're interrupting her work shift. That's rude, Anthony. Your mother raised you better. The mention of Russo's mother is deliberate, calculated to remind him of family, of codes, of lines that shouldn't be crossed. Russo's jaw tightens, but he steps back, giving Maya space to breathe. I was simply expressing gratitude, Russo says stiffly. Gratitude doesn't involve asking people to spy for you, Dante counters. He stops beside Maya, his hand finding the small of her back in a possessive gesture that everyone in the diner can see. Miss Chen did your wife a kindness. You repay that by leaving her alone. That's how gratitude works in civilized society. Civilized, Russo repeats, a bitter laugh escaping. That's rich coming from you. At least I don't prey on people who help my family, Dante replies, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. At least I don't exploit kindness as weakness. Walk away, Anthony, while you still can. For a moment, Maya thinks Russo might push back, might challenge Dante's authority right here in the middle of Russo's own diner. The tension is thick enough to choke on. Then Russo nods once, sharply. This isn't over. Yes, it is, Dante says with absolute finality. Touch her, threaten her, even look at her again, and I'll ensure the FBI finds every piece of evidence they need to put you away for life. You think your accounts are frozen now? You think you're desperate now? You have no idea how much worse I can make things. Russo leaves without another word, the bell above the door seeming obscenely cheerful as it announces his departure. The diner remains silent for a long moment. Then the normal sounds gradually resume. Conversation, dishes clattering, the coffee maker gurgling, as everyone pretends they didn't just witness a confrontation between 2 of the city's most dangerous men. Nina appears at Maya's elbow. Take your break. Go. Maya lets Dante guide her outside into the cold morning air. Her hands are shaking. Her entire body is shaking. The adrenaline that kept her upright during Russo's visit is crashing hard, and she has to lean against the diner's brick wall to stay standing. You came, she manages to say. Marco called the moment Russo entered. Dante explains, positioning himself between Maya and the street, creating a barrier with his body. I was 3 blocks away. I would have been here sooner if traffic hadn't been hell. How did you know he'd come? Because desperate men are predictable, Dante replies. His hand cups her face, tilting it up so he can study her expression. Are you okay? Did he touch you? No. He wanted me to spy. To listen to conversations and report back. He knew about you. About the money. Of course he knew, Dante says grimly. Anthony Russo has been watching you since his wife told him about your kindness. He saw an opportunity, a lever he could use against me or the FBI or whoever else crosses his path. But Piccola, listen to me very carefully. He can't touch you. He knows that now. Everyone knows that now. Maya looks up at him, at this man who stormed into a diner to defend her honor like some medieval knight. Why are you doing this? Really? It can't just be because I was kind to a stranger. Dante is quiet for a long moment, his thumb tracing gentle patterns on her cheek. When he speaks, his voice carries a vulnerability she hasn't heard before. 3 months ago, I watched a man beg for his life, he says quietly. He'd stolen from my family. Not much, just enough to matter. The rules said he had to pay. The family expected me to make an example. So I did what was expected. I made the call. I watched him disappear. Maya's breath catches. She knew what Dante was capable of, but hearing him speak so plainly about violence makes it real in a way theory never could. 2 days later, I learned he'd been stealing to pay for his daughter's cancer treatment. Dante continues, his expression haunted. He tried to ask for help, tried to explain his situation, but no one listened. So he stole, and I killed him for it. Left his daughter without a father. Left her mother without a husband. All because I followed the rules without asking why he broke them. Dante, then I saw you in that parking lot, he interrupts, his eyes meeting hers with startling intensity. I watched you give away your rent money to help a stranger. No hesitation, no calculation, just pure, uncomplicated kindness. And I realized I'd forgotten that people like you existed. People who do the right thing even when it costs them everything. His hands frame her face, gentle despite their strength. You reminded me that I'm not just a monster making calls and following rules. That somewhere underneath all the violence and control, there's still a part of me that remembers what it means to be human. That's why I'm doing this, Maya. Because protecting you means protecting the part of myself I thought I'd lost. Maya's eyes burn with tears she refuses to let fall. This man, this dangerous, powerful, complicated man, is showing her his scars, trusting her with his guilt, letting her see past the armor to the person underneath. I'm not some saint, she whispers. I'm just trying to survive. You're surviving with your humanity intact, Dante corrects. That makes you rarer than you know. Before Maya can respond, Marco appears, his expression urgent. Boss, we have a problem. The Russos are moving faster than we anticipated. Dante's entire demeanor shifts. The vulnerability disappears behind cold calculation. Explain. Catherine Russo just filed a police report, Marco says. Claims Miss Chin has been harassing her family, demanding money for the groceries, making threats. Maya's stomach drops. That's not true. I know. Dante interrupts, his voice hard as granite. This is Anthony's play. If he can't use you as an informant, he'll destroy your credibility. Make you look like an opportunist. Turn your act of kindness into something ugly. The police are going to question her, Marco continues. Maybe arrest her, depending on what Catherine's willing to say in her statement. Over my dead body, Dante growls. He pulls out his phone, already dialing. Get me Detective Morrison. Now. While Dante makes rapid-fire calls to lawyers, to contacts in the police department, to people whose names Maya doesn't recognize, she stands frozen against the diner wall. Everything is spiraling out of control. One act of kindness has triggered a cascade of consequences she never saw coming. We need to move you, Dante says once he's finished his calls. You and Leo. Somewhere safe. Somewhere the Russos can't reach you. Move us where? Maya asks, panic rising in her throat. My home, Dante replies. It's secure. Protected. No one gets in or out without my permission. I can't just move into your house. I have work. Leo has school. We have lives. Lives that Anthony Russo is currently trying to destroy, Dante counters. His hands settle on her shoulders, grounding her. This is temporary, Piccola. Just until the police situation is resolved. Just until Russo realizes he can't win this fight. A few days, maybe a week. But I need to know you're safe. If you're hooked on the story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Maya thinks of Leo, of the new insulin pump he's using today, of the men watching their apartment, of Catherine Russo telling lies to the police because her husband demands it. A few days, she hears herself agree. A few days, Dante confirms. But something in his expression suggests he's hoping for longer. Dante's home is nothing like Maya imagined. She'd expected ostentatious wealth, gold fixtures and marble everywhere, and the kind of tasteless display that screams new money. Instead, the brownstone in the historic district is elegant and understated. Hardwood floors, exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows that let in natural light. The furniture is expensive but comfortable. The artwork is original but not showy. It's a home, not a museum. Guest suite is on the second floor, Dante says, carrying Maya's hastily packed bags like they weigh nothing. 2 bedrooms, private bathroom, small sitting area. Leo will have his own space. Marco had collected Leo from school with a cover story about a gas leak at their apartment building. The teenager accepted this with typical adolescent disinterest, more concerned about his homework than the logistics of temporary relocation. Now Leo stands in the middle of the guest suite, his eyes wide. This is bigger than our entire apartment. Make yourself comfortable, Dante says, setting down the bags. Kitchen is fully stocked. Help yourself to anything. The TV in. The sitting area has every streaming service. And if you need anything at all, just ask. Leo looks at Maya, uncertainty written across his face. She forces a smile, trying to project confidence she doesn't feel. It's just for a few days, until they fix the gas leak. Right, Leo says slowly. The gas leak that required us to pack enough clothes for a week. Her brother is too smart for his own good. After Leo retreats to his bedroom to tackle homework, Maya finds herself alone with Dante in the sitting area. Through the windows, she can see the city spreading out below them, lights beginning to twinkle as dusk approaches. I had someone collect more of your things, Dante says, gesturing to additional bags she hadn't noticed. Clothes, toiletries, Leo's medical supplies. Enough for a comfortable stay. How did they get in? Maya asks, though she already knows the answer. I own your building, Dante replies matter-of-factly. Bought it 6 months ago. Your landlord works for me, though he doesn't realize it. That's how I knew about the eviction paperwork. That's how I can guarantee no one will bother you there again. Maya stares at him. You own my building. I own 37 buildings in this city, Dante corrects. Yours happened to be one of them. Pure coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences anymore. His smile is rueful. Smart girl. Maya sinks onto the plush couch, exhaustion catching up with her all at once. This morning I was a waitress. Now I'm hiding in a mafia boss's house while the police investigate me for crimes I didn't commit. How did my life become a crime drama? Dante settles beside her, close but not touching. You did something kind in a world that punishes kindness, and I decided I wouldn't let you face that punishment alone. Because I reminded you of your humanity, Maya says, echoing his earlier words. Because you showed me there's still something worth protecting in the city, Dante corrects. He turns to face her fully, his expression intense. Maya, I want you to understand something. The protection I'm offering, it's real. It's comprehensive, but it's also dangerous. Being close to me puts you in the crosshairs of people who'd love to hurt me through you. Are you sure this is what you want? Maya thinks about her options. Return to her apartment and face arrest. Run and leave Leo without stability. Refuse Dante's help and face the Russos alone. Or stay here, in this beautiful house, with this complicated man who's shown her more care in 3 days than anyone has in 3 years. I don't know what I want, she admits. But I know Leo needs safety, and right now you're offering that. So yes, I'm sure. Dante's hand finds hers, his fingers intertwining with hers in a gesture that's becoming familiar. I'll keep you safe, Piccola. Both of you. That's a promise. They sit in comfortable silence as darkness falls outside. Leo's music drifts from his bedroom, some rapper Maya doesn't recognize. The house settles around them with gentle creaks and sighs. And for the first time in as long as she can remember, Maya feels like she can breathe without calculating the cost. Tell me about your family, she says eventually. Dante Vitali didn't just appear fully formed as a mafia boss. Who were you before? Dante is quiet for so long that Maya thinks he might not answer. Then he begins speaking, his voice low and distant. I was supposed to be a lawyer, he says. That was the plan. Good grades, law school, maybe even politics eventually. My father wanted legitimacy for the family. Wanted one son who could operate in the daylight while he handled the shadows. What changed? My older brother died, Dante says simply. Car accident when I was 22. One moment we were planning his wedding, the next we were planning his funeral. And suddenly I was the heir. The one who had to take over the family business. The one who had to be hard instead of hopeful. Maya squeezes his hand. I'm sorry. Me too, Dante replies. I love my brother. He was everything I wasn't. Charismatic, confident, comfortable with violence when necessary. I was the soft one, the one who read poetry and wanted to change the world through legal reform. His laugh is bitter. The family almost fell apart when he died. Our rivals smelled weakness. They pushed boundaries, tested defenses, waited for me to fail. But you didn't. No, Dante agrees. I learned to be what they needed, learned to make the hard calls, learned to bury the part of myself that wanted to believe in justice and mercy and all those naive concepts law school taught me. I became my brother's shadow, and eventually I became the shadow itself. Is that why you have a scar? Maya asks, gently touching the mark above his eyebrow. From becoming someone else. Dante catches her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm that sends electricity racing through her veins. This is from my first real fight. I was 23, fresh into leadership, and one of our distributors thought I was too young to command respect. He challenged me in front of everyone. If I'd backed down, I would have lost the family. So I fought, and I won, but not before he taught me that power requires pain. And your family? Do you have anyone besides the organization? My mother died when I was 15, Dante says. Cancer. My father never recovered. He threw himself into the business, became harder, more ruthless. When my brother died, something in him broke completely. He started taking unnecessary risks, making enemies he didn't need. 6 months later, he had a heart attack at his desk. Doctors said it was natural. I think he just didn't want to live anymore. So you're alone, Maya whispers. I have Marco and Luca. I have dozens of men who take a bullet for me. I have power and money and influence. But alone. Dante's expression is heartbreaking in its honesty. Yes, Piccola. I'm very alone. Maya doesn't think, just acts. She shifts closer, wrapping her arms around him in a fierce hug. Dante stiffens for a heartbeat, then melts into her embrace with a shudder that might be relief or grief or both. You're not alone anymore, Maya says against his chest. You have me, for whatever that's worth. Dante's arms come around her, holding her like she's something precious and fragile. It's worth everything. They stay like that for a long time, two broken people finding comfort in each other's arms. Outside, the city continues its endless dance of light and shadow. Inside, something shifts and settles, a connection forming that has nothing to do with protection or obligation, and everything to do with two souls recognizing each other across the void. When they finally separate, Dante's eyes are suspiciously bright. Thank you, he says simply. For what? For not running. For seeing past the monster to the man. For staying when every instinct must be screaming at you to flee. Maya cups his face, mirroring his earlier gesture. I stopped running the moment I decided to trust you. Besides, you're not nearly as scary as you think you are. I could change your mind about that, Dante says, but there's amusement in his tone. You could try, Maya counters. The moment stretches between them, charged with possibility. Dante's gaze drops to her lips. Maya's breath catches. This would be so easy, to close the distance, to lose herself in this man who's shown her more genuine care than anyone in years, to forget about complications and consequences for just one moment. Then Leo's door opens, and they spring apart like guilty teenagers. Her brother appears in the doorway, oblivious to the tension he just interrupted. What's for dinner? Leo asks. Because this place is amazing, but I'm starving. Dante's laugh is genuine and warm. How do you feel about Italian? I know a place that delivers the best carbonara in the city. I feel very positive about Italian, Leo declares, settling onto the opposite couch. As Dante orders dinner and Leo chatters about his day, Maya watches them interact with something warm blooming in her chest. This is dangerous. This feeling of family, of belonging, of home. Because temporary arrangements have a way of feeling permanent when you're not careful. And Maya is starting to think she might not want to be careful anymore. Dinner is relaxed and easy. They eat at the massive dining table that could seat 12 but holds just the three of them. Dante asks Leo about school, about his interests, about his dreams for the future. Leo responds with typical teenage openness, completely unaware that he's charming a mafia boss with his enthusiasm for computer programming and his complaints about chemistry homework. "You're good with him," Maya observes later, after Leo has gone to bed stuffed with pasta and garlic bread. "I remember being 14, Dante replies. They're in his private office now, a masculine space with dark wood and leather and the faint scent of expensive whiskey. I remember wanting adults to actually listen instead of just waiting for their turn to lecture. Leo's a good kid. Smart. Kind, like his sister. He's the best thing in my life," Maya says quietly. "Everything I do, every choice I make, it's all for him. To give him the future our mother wanted him to have." "I know," Dante says. He pours 2 fingers of amber liquid into crystal glasses and hands her one. "That's what makes you extraordinary, Maya. Your love isn't conditional. It's not self-serving. It's pure sacrifice, every single day, without resentment or regret." Maya takes a sip of the whiskey. It burns and soothes simultaneously, liquid warmth spreading through her chest. "Sometimes I resent it," she admits. "Sometimes I look at people my age who are traveling and dating and building careers, and I wonder what my life would be like if I wasn't responsible for a teenager. Is that terrible?" "It's human," Dante corrects. He settles beside her on the leather couch, close enough that she can feel his warmth. "You're allowed to want things for yourself, Piccola. You're allowed to be more than just Leo's guardian." "I don't know how to be anything else anymore." "Let me teach you," Dante says, his voice dropping to that dangerous register that makes her stomach flip. "Let me show you what it's like to be cared for instead of always doing the caring. Let me give you what you give everyone else. Unconditional support. The freedom to just be." Maya meets his eyes, seeing the promise there. The offer of something she's been denying herself for so long she's forgotten what it feels like to want. "Dante!" Her phone rings, shattering the moment. Detective Morrison's name flashes across the screen. Maya's hand trembles as she answers. "Miss Chun," the detective's voice is professional but not unkind. "I need you to come to the station tomorrow morning. We have some questions about Catherine Russo's complaint." "I didn't do anything," Maya says, hating how defensive she sounds. "I'm sure we can clear this up quickly," Morrison replies. "Just come in, make a statement, and we'll take it from there. Bring your lawyer if you have one." When she hangs up, Dante is already on his phone. "Morrison's clean," he says, clearly running through contacts. "Won't take bribes, can't be intimidated. But he's fair. If we present the truth with proper documentation, he'll see through the Russos' lies." Documentation. Security footage from the grocery store, Dante lists. Receipts showing you used your own accounts. Witness statements from the cashier. A timeline proving you've had no contact with Catherine Russo since that night. Everything we need to prove you're being set up. "You already have all that?" Maya asks. "I have all that," Dante confirms. "I started building your defense the moment I realized Russo might come after you. Maya, I told you I protect what's mine. That means being 3 steps ahead of anyone who might try to hurt you." What's mine? The possessive language should bother her. Should feel like ownership or control or any of the red flags she's been trained to recognize. Instead, it feels like safety. Like someone finally standing between her and the world that's been trying to destroy her for years. "Thank you," Maya whispers. Dante sets down his phone and pulls her close, tucking her against his side. "Tomorrow we go to the station. We clear your name. We make sure the Russos understand that coming after you was the biggest mistake they've ever made. And then, Piccola, then we figure out what happens next." What if I want more than just protection? The words escape before Maya can stop them. What if I want? She can't finish the sentence. Can't admit to this dangerous man that somewhere between the parking lot encounter and this moment, she started wanting things that have nothing to do with security and everything to do with the way he looks at her like she matters. But Dante understands anyway. His hand tilts her face up, his thumb brushing across her lower lip with devastating gentleness. What if I've wanted more since the moment you told me your cologne was expensive like it was a crime, he murmurs. What if watching you sacrifice yourself for strangers made me want to be the one person you never have to sacrifice for? What if I'm terrified of how much I want you, Maya-chan, because wanting things in my world is the fastest way to lose them? Maya's breath catches. I'm not going anywhere. Promise me, Dante demands, his voice rough. Promise me that whatever happens tomorrow, whatever the Russos throw at us, whatever complications arise, promise me you won't run. I promise. The kiss that follows is inevitable and earth-shattering. Dante kisses like he does everything else, with complete focus and devastating intensity. His hands frame her face, angling her exactly how he wants, and Maya surrenders to the sensation of being completely overwhelmed by this man who's somehow become essential to her survival. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Dante rests his forehead against hers. This is a terrible idea. Probably, Maya agrees. You deserve better than a man who makes his living in violence. Let me decide what I deserve. Dante's smile is beautiful and heartbreaking. Go to bed, Piccola. Before I forget, I'm supposed to be protecting you and do something we're both not ready for. Maya stands on shaky legs, her lips still tingling from his kiss. Good night, Dante. Good night, Maya. She makes it to the door before he calls after her. Maya. Yes. Tomorrow, when we face the police and the Russos and everyone else who wants to use you as a pawn, you don't face them alone. You face them with me, with all my power and resources and terrifying reputation behind you. That's what it means to be mine. Understand? Maya nods, not trusting her voice. In the guest suite, she finds Leo already asleep, his new insulin pump doing its job while he dreams teenager dreams. Maya stands in the doorway watching him, her heart so full it might burst. She came to this house expecting temporary shelter. Instead, she's finding something that feels dangerously like home. And tomorrow, when she faces the consequences of one act of kindness, she'll do it knowing Dante Vitali has her back. The question is, what happens when temporary becomes permanent? When protection becomes something deeper? When a mafia boss and a waitress stop pretending their connection is just business? Maya climbs into bed surrounded by luxury she didn't earn and safety she didn't ask for, and wonders if she's strong enough for whatever comes next. Because one thing is certain, after tomorrow, everything changes. The police station interrogation lasted 3 hours. But Dante's evidence was overwhelming: security footage, bank records, witness statements. Detective Morrison apologized personally as he escorted Maya out. Catherine Russo's lies crumbled under scrutiny. Outside, Anthony Russo waited with 2 men. His desperation had turned to rage. You think this is over? He snarled at Maya. You think Vitali can protect you forever? Dante stepped between them, his voice deadly calm. Actually, it is over. The FBI received an anonymous package this morning. Documents proving you've been skimming from your own family for years. Recordings of you planning to testify against them in exchange for immunity. How long do you think your people will let you live once they know you're a rat? Russo's face went white. You're bluffing. Am I? Dante smiled coldly. Leave the city tonight, Anthony. Disappear with whatever dignity you have left. Because if I see you again, if I even hear your name in connection with Maya or her brother, I won't just ruin you. I'll destroy everyone you've ever loved. That's not a threat. That's a promise. Russo fled. His men followed. Maya never saw him again. 6 months later, Maya stands in Dante's kitchen making breakfast while Leo argues with Marco about college choices. Her brother is thriving. His diabetes managed, his future secure, his acceptance letter to MIT sitting proudly on the refrigerator. The diner job is a memory. Maya now runs Dante's legitimate charitable foundation, helping people like her who slip through society's cracks. She's good at it. More importantly, she's happy. Morning, Piccola, Dante murmurs, wrapping his arms around her from behind. His lips find her neck, and Maya leans into his warmth. Morning, she replies, turning in his embrace. The diamond on her finger catches the light. Not an engagement ring yet, but a promise ring. A symbol of Dante's intention to make this permanent when she's ready. I love you, Dante says, like he does every morning. Like he'll never tire of saying it. I love you too, Maya responds, meaning it with her entire heart. She paid a stranger's grocery bill with her rent money. The Mafia boss followed her to the parking lot. And somehow, impossibly, that moment of kindness led her here, to love, to safety, to a family she chose and who chose her back. Leo calls them to the table. Marco argues that Duke is better than MIT. Dante laughs at something on his phone. And Maya realizes this is what happiness looks like. Messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. The darkness of Dante's world still exists. The danger hasn't disappeared. But together, they've built something light and good and worth protecting. Sometimes the most dangerous choice is opening your heart. Sometimes the bravest thing is letting yourself be saved. And sometimes, love finds you in a grocery store parking lot at midnight, offered by a man whose hands are stained with violence, but whose heart beats with surprising tenderness. Maya wouldn't change a single moment. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love the story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.